Hello, my friend. How are you? I hope you are doing great. So, I'm a Brazilian with the goal of learning your language, English, since people say it's important. And to make it more fun, I decided to mix what I like with studying the language. As a good Brazilian, I speak Portuguese, not Spanish. Got it? On this channel, I've already made a video about the discovery of Brazil. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. It's a fascinating story. But today, I'm going to tell you about the first trip around the world by sea and how that journey changed the course of the world. This first voyage around the globe was planned by Fernando Magalhães in the 16th century, more precisely on November 27, 1520. You may have noticed that I say the voyage was planned, not completed by Magalhães. To explain that and make you a bit more curious about what happened, I think it's best to first talk about who he was and how this journey forever changed the way we see the world and prove us and for all that the earth is round. Fernando de Magalhães was born in Portugal, in the Trás-os-Montes region, in the north of the country, in the town Sabrosa. He came from the fourth order of Portuguese nobility. That means he didn't hold a noble title like count or baron, but he did have a cognized status as a nobleman due to his family's military heritage. In short, his family was respected for its military tradition, but was not part of the high nobility at court, although Magalhães did have contact with the king, since he served as a page at the royal court. Around the age of 20, he joined the fleet heading to the Indies, entering into the maritime life of time and taking part in several battles. His first military experience took him to the Far East with the goal of countering Muslim power in the region. He stayed there until 1512, suffering multiple wounds, including one during the Battle of Deal, which, by the way, deserves its own video here due to its importance. When he returned to Portugal, he was sent to take part in the conquest of the city of Azemmour in Morocco. There he wanted again, this time leaving him lame, permanently injured in one leg. He went to the Portuguese king at the time to request compensation for the injuries he suffered in battle, but his request was denied, as he had been accused of trading with the Moors, an act considered treason. After this rejection, and being banned from working in Portugal, Magalhães moved to Spain, gave up his Portuguese nationality, and offered his service to the Spanish king, Charles I, who would later become Charles V of the Holy Roman Empire. In Spain, he proposed to find a new route to the Indies, since the Mediterranean was controlled and Portugal controlled the road around Africa via the Cape of Good Hope, something I talked about in my previous video. Magellan's aimed to find a passage that would link the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans through the America, allowing access to space-rich islands. The proposal was accepted, and preparations for the expedition began at the port of Seville in 1518. The fleet was made up of 5 ships: San Antonio, Conceição, Vitória, Santiago e Trindade, the flagship, and more than 200 men. They departed from San Lucar, an Atlantic port, in Andalusia on September 20 in 1519. The voyage was slow due to a lack of favorable winds. While still in the Atlantic, they faced strong storms. According to the official chronicle of the trip, Antonio Pigafetta, the sailors believed they were saved thanks to the appearance of 3 saints: Saint Elmo, Saint Clare, and Saint Nicholas. Interestingly, this belief was tied to a natural phenomenon called St. Elmo's fire, which happens during storms when the energy in the clouds creates glowing halos of electricity at the tops of ships' masts. On November 29, they reached the area near Cape Saint Augustine in Pernambuco, Brazil. On December 13, they entered the Bay of Rio de Janeiro, stopping to get supplies and fix the ships. On January 10 in 1520, they arrived at the river they named the River Plate. On March 31st, they reached the Gulf of San Matias and decided to spend the winter there, waiting for the spring. In that region, they encountered tall people with large feet, one they named Patagonias. Before crossing to the other ocean, a mutiny broke out, but Magalhães put it down with no mercy, executing one ship's captain and abandoning another on shore, left to his fate. In October of that year, the expedition sailed past Cape Virgines, at the southern tip of the continent, and finally entered the passage that would later be known as Strait of Magalhães. On November 1st, 1520, they began the crossing of the strait, which they named All Saints' Passage, today known as the Strait of Magalhães. It took 27 days to get through. After making it across, they landed in Mactan, where Magalhães was killed, hit by a poison arrow during a battle with local natives. The remaining fleet continued under the command of Juan Sebastián Elcano. Eventually, the surviving ships Trindade and Vitória reached their destination and loaded up with valuable spices in the Moluccas Islands. Although Ferdinand de Magalhães didn't personally reach the Spice Islands, his mission was essentially accomplished. He got very close and proved that the Earth is round. On the return trip, the fleet rounded the Cape of Good Hope on May 19 in 1522. On September 7, only 18 men made it back to the port where the journey has started.